people are all upset, and I get it. But if you were all in on the go-go offense and staying with the same tree, but just more of a running attack that's mixed up, like Gus Malzahn is literally the godfather of this. He is the head of the snake. So, the comment that I made on Twitter is like, if you're up in arms and you're just absolutely like it's the end of the world that we hired Gus Malzahn, then just, okay, you want Mike Norvell gone. You didn't ever want him, or you want him gone now, whatever the case may be. Like, for Mike Norvell, if he's going to pull this thing off, sure, the go-go offense would have been great. And I was like, to me, it was 1A, 1B on Malzahn or Brendan Marion or even Dan Mullen. I knew Dan Mullen probably wasn't coming. I just said that was one of those as a pie in the sky. About 2 weeks ago, we let you guys know on my channel at the Renegade Report on Wednesdays at the Voice of College Football that, oh shit, we didn't even think about this the first couple months of this discussion, but Gus Malzahn literally gave Mike Norvell his first ever coaching job at Tulsa. Goes on and on and on. Literally is, kind of what inspired Mike Norvell's offense. Kenny, I'm not sure about Kenny Dillingham's, but the go-go offense, et cetera, et cetera. There's this idea that, okay, so he's been the head coach at UCF for 4 years, started off pretty good, is kind of having a down year, that somehow not creating an amazing program at UCF, who just jumped up a conference from Conference USA or whatever up to the Big 12. They act like that somehow equals not being a good offensive coordinator. And it's infuriating to me. I get it. It's not the exciting hire you want, but like, do you not watch any college football? Is Manny Diaz not a good defensive coordinator? Is Will Muschamp not a good defensive coordinator? Is Chip Kelly not a good offensive coordinator? Is Dirk Cutter not a good offensive coordinator? On and on and on. You go down the line. Head coaching does not equal, in even any kind of sense, coordinator. You have to know how to be a coordinator in order to be a head coach. But being a head coach and building a program has jack shit to do with being a coordinator. It's just common knowledge. Like, it's why Dan Mullen could go be an OC if he wanted. It's why all these people Muschamp have a ton of success. Al Golden, I believe, is killing it somewhere as a coordinator. So yeah, you got every opinion to be wrong. It just seems to me the arguments that people are making are well, he gave up play calling duties and got run out of UCF. Obviously, things weren't going wrong. He did what he had to do. Who else are we talking about needs to give up play calling duties? Mike Norvell. Okay, so are you under the impression that Mike Norvell now is somebody who doesn't know offense and couldn't go somewhere elite and be an elite offensive coordinator somewhere? He was doing that shit a decade ago at elite level at ASU. Okay, like it's like politics and everything else. Like, do you not live in reality? Does everybody work a job? Not everybody. Some people have disabilities. Some people are in between jobs. Some people try to talk in podcasts like an idiot, et cetera, et cetera. But, work down at the gumball plant. You start out as the person that just shovels gumballs from one bin to the next. You make it up to shift leader. You watch the 10 guys that are shoveling gumballs. That's what you do. You take care of them. You take their time and stuff. 10 years down the road, you become the general manager of the whole plant. Well, after 10, 15 years, profits drop, yada, yada. You lose your job. They ask you to retire. Nope, I'm going to go back to shoveling gumballs. You people on X are like the dumbasses down there shoveling gumballs, like, oh, Billy, general manager, he couldn't hack it down here. No way he knows how to shovel gumballs anymore. Gus Malzahn has a top 25 offense this year on UCF. They suck, sure. But offense isn't his issue. The only argument that seems smart to me of why you wouldn't want him is to recruiting, even though he recruits well. Similar to Mike Norvell, he has the same kind of thing. His issue as a head coach is that he just never found the ability to build that consistent program and continue getting better and better and better. So, yeah, I as an offensive coordinator, the idea is you bring Gus Malzahn in. It's already being reported he will be the play caller. Now Mike Norvell has somebody with head coaching experience over a decade been to a national championship as a coordinator, been to a national championship as a head coach. He won it as a coordinator, went as a head coach. Okay, coached Heisman Trophy winner and Cam Newton. Another in Nick Marshall that might have won the Heisman Trophy if it wasn't for Jameis Winston and just the amazing year he had. So to have that voice in the room that isn't a yes man, another thing we've talked about getting on these staffs, like Mike Norvell looks up to Gus Malzahn, but obviously he'll be under him as a coach, but there's going to be a level of him being able to be like, nah, bullshit, coach. We don't need to throw that toss on the goal line. I'm not going to get into that, but it's funny to kind of bookmark the season with things like that to happen. But yeah, I'm all in on Malzahn. I think it's a great hire. He's going to be able to recruit Florida, coming straight from UCF. All of a sudden, coming from recruiting to a UCF helmet to a FSU helmet, yeah, it's going to be fun. And another thing about Gus Malzahn's offenses historically, like, don't get me wrong, he needs to go recruit the absolute best of the best at Florida State. If you get, quote unquote, Jeremiah Smith, whoever it is of the class, you get those guys. But he doesn't necessarily have to have, a Jameis Winston at quarterback. No, he's going to find a big receiver, and he's going to get the absolute most out of his his personnel. He always did more with less to a certain extent. So it'll be fun to see what they can get in here. I'm sure they're going to throw a ton of money at the portal. We're going to see if he's going to bring, I believe the guy's name is Herb Hand, the guy who's his offensive line coordinator or coach, at UCF. We'll see if he comes. Very interesting to see here in the next 24 to 48 hours who gets hired, who gets fired. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just glad it's over, guys. It's tough. I know you guys all love Florida State. I love Florida State. You wait 8 months of the year to get these games and to root for your team, and it was just a tough watch this year, all the way down to the end. And yeah, how y'all feeling, man? The comments have been flying in here. I think Malzahn is a great coordinator, not the best head coach, but did get to a national championship game. Kevin just wants to know who the DC is going to be because the names get thrown out here. Venables, Stoops. It'll be tough for those two guys. Sorry, dude. My dogs are going nuts on me, so I'm having to take a break. Kevin Hickson reminding me the best part of the day was watching Miami. How about that, man? Well, how many years are we up to? Is this 21 years in the league with no conference championships? Man, you gotta. I feel so vindicated for all the people that were talking all the shit about Miami being as good or better than that Florida State team from last year. They could not be more wrong. Florida State that was undefeated. Florida State that sent 10 guys to the NFL, 6 in the top 100. And what's lost is everybody was just taking dumps on Florida State for having a backup quarterback the last 3 weeks of the game and only winning by 10, 15 points against ranked squads. And here you have Miami dropping 2 games to unranked squads with their Heisman all-world candidate quarterback. I can't remember who it was. I think T.I. No, not T.I. Plies. Our man Plies, who big Plies fan, shout out to you or your brother for writing all those songs. But on Twitter, he's a goon. He's a goon on Twitter. He's constantly saying crazy shit. And yeah, he said, wow, man, I just don't know what I'm watching. I'm not used to watching a Miami secondary look like this. Oh, man, I quote tweeted that one, and I had to do it. Man, is this the first game you watched in a decade or what? Only 2017? That's the only year you watched? But, yeah, I thought that was funny. But, yeah. Now it's Clemson SMU in the ACC title game. Clemson, who just lost to South Carolina today. If Clemson goes and beats SMU in the championship game, they have an opportunity to just really screw over the ACC's kind of strength as much as possible. Going into this weekend, had Miami won, SMU won, and Clemson won, all of a sudden the ACC had a chance of getting 2 or 3 teams in. You'd have a 2-loss Clemson done, and then you'd have a 1-loss SMU and a 1-loss Miami playing for a conference championship that were both going to be well inside of the top 10. And, you lose to number 5 Miami or you lose to number 8 SMU. How far is that going to drop you? So it really is crazy. It was all on the table right there for the ACC to clean up, even without Florida State. Just completely, break everybody's minds that thought it was going to be 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams. But it wasn't in the cards. Miami loses. Now they don't have another game. I believe they're at 6 or 7 in the college football playoff. They got to pray they don't drop 4 spots. Georgia lose. If Georgia, all of a sudden, you look back at that Georgia Tech game, Georgia Tech going down to Georgia may end up costing Miami their playoff spot. It's just, they already said if Georgia loses the SEC championship, they're in. So, that's it. That could end up being Miami's spot. They're talking about, Boise State possibly getting one of the top seeds over the Big 12 or the ACC, which I didn't even think was a thing. I thought it was just the Power 4 and one group of 5 at large. But no, I guess it's the top 4 ranked conference champions regardless of conference, which is, I guess that's fair because, obviously the strength of your schedule, unless you're Notre Dame, is baked into where you get ranked. For whatever reason, Notre Dame, it doesn't matter who they play or lose to, they get SEC type adoration. And they did their job. USC took them, I think it was like 35-35, and then Notre Dame scored a couple touchdowns to close it out. It looked like Florida State was going to cover in this one, but old Billy, I don't blame him. They needed a win. They needed to get some momentum, but yeah, whoever bet on Florida got to cash their ticket in tonight. Miami next year, folks talking about they're going to be mediocre again. Yeah, it'll be really curious to see what they look like next year with Cam Ward and a lot of guys going. If they get left out of the playoff, I wouldn't doubt it if Cam Ward opted out. So maybe we'll get lucky and they'll have one of those opt-out bowl games where they just get crunched by somebody. That'd be hilarious.